This game was very chippy, and I love how chippy it's been. I like it when two teams do not like each other. And I am getting the sense that at some point in this series, there will be more of a shoving match than we've seen. We haven't really seen it yet, though. The closest that we got last night was towards the end. I want to say with about 5.5 minutes to go. Draymond Green, among many things that he did to Rockets players over the course of the night, decked Amen Thompson into the ground a second time. He did it at least twice. I'm not really 100% sure what led to what. But moments later, Fred VanVleet was jawing with Draymond Green. Didn't look like it was anything bad. I mean, it just seemed like it was Draymond and Fred VanVleet busting each other's chops. These are two guys that have done a podcast together. I imagine that they are at the very least friendly. I mean, I've seen Fred VanVleet making fun of Draymond Green kicking, who was it that he kicked? Because Draymond thought that he and this person, this player in the league, they like had a respect for each other. Steven Adams. And Fred's like, yo, you kicked him in the nuts like multiple times. And Draymond's trying to justify it. They're like, oh, no, we have a mutual respect for each other. So I think Fred VanVleet and Draymond are cool off the court. So anyway, they're talking to each other. I didn't think it was escalating, but then all of a sudden, everyone left their benches. Warriors and the Rockets. Pretty sure that's not allowed. And Tari Eason, who might be a long odds person if you were to put money on who's going to throw the spark that ignites the fuse and turns this into an actual fisticuffs battle. He steps in between Draymond and Fred VanVleet. And then everyone starts getting separated. And Tari Eason ends up behind a mound of Rockets players. He gets a towel and he throws it. He just throws it at the Golden State Warriors. I'm not sure who he hit. What I do know is that afterwards, the referees, they go to the replay booth to review what happened. And they were reviewing for a hostile act on an effing towel throw, B-Mac.
I think it was I know you disagree with this assessment, your lookalike. I think it hit Spence. I think it hit Spencer.
I mean, honestly, I'd throw it at that guy. He's wearing 61. What are you doing out there? What's his name again? Pat Spencer. Yeah, Pat Spencer, the plumber out there. Did score 11 points. Again, it's more because he's wearing 61 and he just looks like, as many people have told me. So that guy's out there doing that. He gets hit in the face with a towel. Tari Eason ends up getting a technical. It's just a funny moment at the end of the game. And after the game, I asked Tari Eason this question.
Tari, today I learned that tossing a towel is a hostile act. What led up to that moment, and how would you explain just how chippy this game got?
I didn't even see it, though. I didn't even see you throw the towel.
You know, I'd say my emotions just got the best of me. That's really all it was. In between the lines, you got to know you got to keep it basketball, and that's really all it is. And I'm going to just be better for my team moving forward and controlling my emotions. I know that, with them, some of the guys they have over there, their thing is to kind of try to, beat you mentally. And, if basketball is 90% mental. So I just got to, stay even keel and, move on.
My favorite part of that was when I asked that question, Jalen Green started laughing, and you heard Jalen Green saying, I didn't even see you do that, man. And then Tari Eason gives this canned almost apology. I got to be better than that. I got to be smarter than that. Okay, sure. He threw a towel. Can we not admit that was funny? A lot of Warriors fans last night were saying, Tari Eason has to answer for that. How about focus on, if you're mad about the Jimmy Butler thing, which was not a dirty play by Amen Thompson, how about focus on that instead of a guy throwing a towel at a former lacrosse player who apparently, Pat Spencer, one of the greatest lacrosse players of all time, learned that last night. How about that?
Good for him.
Good for him, right? One of those things where you see this happen, you're going to remember this for a while. I thought it was just a funny moment. I don't think anything was wrong with it. After the game, Ime Udoka was asked about the chippiness between the Rockets and the Warriors. here's what he had to say. He did scold Tari along the way.
Yeah, I don't mind it. It's good for us. It's who we kind of are. Minus the towel throw, you'd like to keep your composure at that point. And, told Tari that obviously he's not even in the game, so he shouldn't be over there doing none of that. But yeah, it's what we built ourselves on. Like I said, the identity, and everybody's bought into that, and makes us who we are. So I think our guys all kind of thrive on that. Just got to keep composure, especially when you have the lead.
Udoka said there essentially that this physicality in this series does, in his mind, give the Rockets a little bit of an edge. Maybe it's because of their size. I'm not sure I 100% buy that, because I think, which was brought up often by Rockets players after last night's game, Alperen Sengun brought it up, Jalen Green brought it up, Tari Eason brought it up. The Warriors do little things to get in your head. They want you to lose focus, to lose control. What was really funny was hearing the Warriors press conference afterwards, where they were saying the same thing about the Rockets. Ooh, real respect's real. I would like them to, at the very least, take a deep breath from time to time before things escalate to the point that it did there. But again, we're just talking about a towel throw here. It's really not that bad. And with some of the things that Draymond Green was doing last night, and I know Dylan Brooks and Amen Thompson and everyone on the court's doing some stuff, I'm surprised that things did not escalate further. I felt like the Rockets actually maintained their composure. So how about that?
Yeah, I thought in that conversation Draymond and Fred had, that Draymond was almost itching for something to happen to get kicked out of the game at that point. Like, he's like, look, this game is over. Let me get my shot in. Let me go to the locker room and, have a cold drink and move on.
But if he did that, B-Mac, I mean, that would be a dumb move by Draymond. And Draymond, every now and then, he gets out of control. But, I mean, like, what if he gets suspended or something like that?
You have to keep it light.
You already are without...
Some light, aggressive moves there. I don't know.
Exactly. Like, if you're going to get tossed, it's like double technical or something like that. But,
you can maybe like shove him, but you can't obviously throw a punch, because that's going to get you suspension.
They're in a situation right now where, and we don't know what Jimmy Butler's status is going forward, and we will talk about that moment a little bit later on. But if we don't know what's up with Jimmy Butler, if you're Draymond, you got to be smart. You got to stay out there, and you can't put yourself in any jeopardy of potentially being taken out. Ultimately, I keep on thinking about Tari Eason throwing that towel, and that the referee literally went over to a microphone and said, we're taking a look at this hostile act. All I can think about is the time that Randy Moss scored a touchdown and Joe Buck didn't like what he saw afterwards.
Moss! Randy Moss is in for a touchdown.
Al Harris playing off, bit up on the route, and Randy Moss, without even really being able to run, as he shoots the moon to the fans here in Green Bay.
That is a disgusting act by Randy Moss, and it's unfortunate that we had that on our air live. That is disgusting by Randy Moss.
He settled down. I forgot that he said it twice. Joe Buck did. Faking mooning a crowd. Didn't actually moon them. That is a disgusting act. Tari Eason throwing a towel. That, at least per the referees, is a disgusting act.
Do you think Joe Buck regrets that call?
Yes. He's talked about it multiple
times.
Has he?
Okay.
This is why I like Joe Buck.
I do too, but that's a weird moment, man, to get that outraged by it.
For sure, especially when you hear about the backstory where Randy Moss apparently had been mooned going into Lambeau Field before that game. So this was him giving it back to them. Moss has told that story. I don't think we quite understood Randy Moss at that moment in time. I'm a big fan of Randy Moss. Obviously played for the Patriots, had that awesome season. It wasn't exactly the best team at the entire time he was there, but the guy was an incredible player at the top of his talents. That is a disgusting act, throwing a towel. A couple of texts in on the HRNP listener line from the 832. At least throw a water bottle or a chair. No, you're getting ejected for that. Like a towel. How can a towel hurt you? It would have to be really, really wet when thrown to actually hurt somebody. What's the thing that people do when you tie it into a knot, B-Mac? Is that called a rat tail when you whip it at somebody?
Yeah, I was like, people will do that to each other in the locker room where they roll it up real tight and then like whip it at you and
boys
snap
being
it.
Boys like that
can hurt.
That could theoretically put someone's eye out, etc. That a little more aggressive. But I mean, I'm trying to think of ways that you could hurt someone with a towel. They all involve water, freezing it, There's strangling somebody with
I was about
it.
to say you could strangle somebody with one.
This is a towel. He just threw a towel. Can you get ill from sweat exchange? Like, that's already happening on the court. I mean, it might stink a little bit. I don't know. Maybe Tari Eason rubbed, flossed a little bit with the towel or something like that in the middle of the game. Yeah. You tell, a little crotch flossing or something like that. Like, I'm not saying like, naked crotch floss. I'm saying like, over the pants crotch floss. Like, maybe he did that. I'm trying to think of a way where this actually could have been harmful, and that's just where my mind takes me, guys. It's the Paul Gallant Show, the most interactive sports talk show in Houston. For the 281, you don't know what's on that towel. That's true, but I'm assuming it's sweat, maybe spit, Also from the 832, put a bar of soap in the towel, like in Full Metal Jacket. You know what? That's one. But again, I just thought it was funny. This ref's calling it a hostile act. It's a towel. Fun moment in that game. But I am curious to see how much chippier this series gets.